Am I the asshole for watching and not doing anything while my wife was being kicked out of my company? Hear me out, just read the whole text. So my wife, F, 26, and I, M, 33, been married for 2 years. I admit that she is a hothead and can be a bit much, especially when she's mad at me. I take responsibility for any mistake J make, like not cleaning the bathroom after the shower or filling her car with gas after using it. I even stand there and let her unload her anger and frustration on me, but only at home and not in public. She tends to start arguing with me in public instead of waiting till we get home. Recently she's been coming to my workplace to berate me over something I did the night before, like not getting the stuff I said I would get or doing the stuff I said I would do. It's embarrassing and humiliating, and has been affecting my job to the point where I started getting a warning after a warning from my superiors, who, I believe, have been very patient and understanding, especially when my wife makes a fuss at the office. Last week I was in the middle of a 2-hour meeting and next thing I knew was seeing my wife barge in while yelling at me, asking why I was keeping my phone turned off. I had to turn it off after getting warnings about ICE and she forbid me from turning it off. I was stunned, because my superior and co-workers and potential clients were there. I didn't even move. My superior dealt with it and called security to get her out. My wife started arguing with him, telling him she came for me, then started urging me to get off my seat and tell them to back off. But I didn't. I just watched as security escorted her out. It was horrible because I had a fear that my job was lost. She yelled at me repeatedly to get them to stop, but she got kicked out eventually. I got told she's no longer allowed there and that this was going to be my final, last warning. I apologized, then went home. She was there waiting, then yelled about me watching and doing nothing. She was getting mistreated and kicked out. I finally snapped and said she was over the line, made a scene that risked my job over few missed calls. She started crying, saying I still should have defended her after getting humiliated in front of my coworkers, but told her she didn't have to worry about it because she's no longer allowed there. She got more furious and went to her mom's to stay there. Your wife isn't a hothead, she's abusive. She's going to violate that ban and get you fired. You need to get out. These things only escalate. Edit. Not the asshole X1000. Sorry, I had to be reminded to vote. Not the asshole. This is a form of abuse and I would take this with a strong understanding that things are getting worse. You never show up to a spouse's place of work like that. Not the asshole. Your wife is abusive. You need to get away from her and get counseling. Not the asshole. You are an abused husband. If you do not have kids, you should cut her loose. In fact, you could change the house locks right now. This would help your ability to keep the house during the divorce. Edit. Your divorce papers should be served with a restraining order. Edit 2. Thank you for the feedback on the lock changing. I am happy to admit when I am mistaken. Not the asshole, and this is 100% divorce worthy. See a lawyer. You are married to an abusive, manipulative monster. She has no concept of acceptable behavior. What kind of face does she have to show herself in public behaving like this? You are 110% right. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my brother that his looks aren't the reason women run from him? I, 22M, have 3 older siblings: Diana, 43F, Sebastian, 37 male, and Jake, 32M. I was the surprise baby and I'm closer to Jake than Diana or Sebastian. Now, Jake has always been interested in sports and all. Training since he was 14 and went pro in college. So even at 32 he looks like a young Schwarzenegger, and I took after him because he was the sibling at home who I was actively watching. I mean, I was young and desperate for interacting with my siblings. So I did a lot of needy things. I took baking classes with Diana. I watched every stupid Star Wars movie so I could talk to Sebastian, and I became the Rock at 18 for Jake. I'm not that needy anymore, and I never really talked with Sebastian. He claims the reason people, and mostly women, reject him are his looks. I mean, he's okay, a little bald, a little overweight, but also very, very grumpy and noisy. He thinks Jake and I are stupid just because of how we look. He really doesn't have another reason. Jake has a PhD and I'm top of my classes, but we're stupid because muscles. I've been laughing at his disrespect and resent for years, but now that I'm a bit older, I just cut him off and move away from him. It's sad because he's my brother and I want a relationship, but meh. I was in an OR with a guy and a girl because I don't want anything serious in my 20s, and a few months ago, my girl had to pick me up for my parents' house and I introduced her to my family. Next day she said that Sebastian sent her the most unfuckable messages on Facebook she has ever received in her life. I read it and it was something. He called her beautiful, He said he knew we weren't serious or official and asked her on a date. 20 minutes later he asked if she was there. 10 minutes later he asked her not to show me the text. And 10 minutes later he spent the next 20 minutes insulting her until she blocked him. We agreed to not tell him anything because she said she didn't cared and that was all. I broke up with them and removed myself from the house. I'll be living with my parents for at least a month until I find another apartment. Sebastian is also living here, and when I went trough the door, he laughed at me, calling me a kicked out Chad, and that even when I looked like a little Jake, I still got broken up with, and now I know how he feels when people reject him for his looks. But that, it's better, because my looks are the fuckboy stereotype, and I just rolled my eyes and said that his looks aren't the reason women run from him but rather his creepy personality, and to remember the texts he sent to my ex a few months ago. He got red in the face and my mom said that I was rude because Sebastian is already having a bad time being his age and living at home. My mom said that I was rude because Sebastian is already having a bad time being his age and living at home. Savage mom burn, not the asshole. He called her beautiful. He said he knew we weren't serious or official and asked her on a date. 20 minutes later he asked if she was there. 10 minutes later he asked her not to show me the text. And 10 minutes later he spent the next 20 minutes insulting her until she blocked him. This is 100% why he's single and he shouldn't dish what he can't take. Also, how TF did he get her number, or was this Insta DMs? Either way it's bad, but still. I hope you find an apartment ASAP because he sounds insufferable to live with, not the asshole. So, Seb is an incel. You are the asshole for making me read that. LMAO, not the asshole. I'm sorry to hear that the relationship between you and your brother isn't working out. He's sounding like a major incel type though, so honestly don't feel too bad about it. Not the asshole. He's a 37-year-old dude. He can learn to act even, hopefully remotely half his age. Am I the asshole for ruining dinner by pointing out one of my dad's guests used to bully me? My parents were hosting dinner with some business associates of my dad's and I was required to attend. One of the guests, Julian, was one of my school bullies. My parents both know that him and his friends used to bully me, so I was upset that they would invite him to dinner without warning me beforehand. I tried not to speak to him and just ate quietly, but then he directly asked me if we had met before because I looked familiar. I probably could have lied, but seeing his stupid arrogant face again annoyed me, so I reminded him that he and his friends used to bully me. At first, he denied it, but then I listed some of the things his friends did to me and he remembered. My dad was visibly angry by this point and I was upset too, so I just excused myself because I didn't want to make him angrier. Julian did try to apologize to me but I ignored him. After everybody left, my dad yelled at me for causing a scene, embarrassing him and acting like a child. He wants me to go to lunch with Julian since apparently after I left he kept telling everybody how awful he felt for what he did as a child and he wanted to make it up to me. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your dad set you up and is mad that you didn't roll over like a good little victim. Not the asshole. Your dad is the asshole. I would be reducing contact with my dad after this. Not the asshole, but your father is for thinking that his business associate is more important than his child. I'm going to Julian's okay on this one. Initial denials notwithstanding, because no one wants to think of themselves as evil, he has apparently matured into remorse for past behaviors, and learning that the effects of said behaviors are long-lasting isn't a bad thing for him. Good luck with your father. He's the real problem here. Not the asshole. What's wrong with your father? Info. Did your dad know this was the same Julian who used to bully you? I mean, I had good parents, but I don't think they'd recognize any of my school friends after years. Not the asshole. How old are you and Julian? I wouldn't go to lunch or ever bother meeting with him. He would probably just be lying to you to make himself look better in your dad's eyes. Your parents probably forgot Julian bullied you. Am I the asshole because I told my husband that Sil uninvited me from her wedding? Made a throwaway for this, as my family members browse this sub. So my Sil, 26, has always been jealous of my looks. She's made comments about my outfits, my makeup, how I should dress, my age, I'm 24, etc. She also feels the need to loudly remark around me that, looks aren't everything, people who wear makeup are shallow, etc. I've never reacted to this, since she seems to have low self-esteem and I feel bad for her. She's getting married next month. Her fiancé seems to be nice, but we've had some awkward encounters. Like when I was wearing a slightly low-cut dress, he kept glancing towards my chest. He's also stared at my legs in the past. And he's usually confident and extroverted, but kind of gets shy and stumbles while speaking to me. My sil recently spoke to me in private and asked me to not come to the wedding. She said, I deserve to be the most beautiful person at my wedding, and you'll spoil that for me. I want all eyes to be on me, not you. I told her I'd skip makeup and wear a simple dress, but she made it clear I couldn't be there. Since I know she doesn't like me, I didn't argue with her. I don't even like social situations, so this was a win for me. Later I told my husband what she'd said, and informed him that I wasn't going. He got angry, called her and said that was a cruel thing to do, and said he wouldn't attend either if I wasn't invited. I hadn't asked him to do that. I had mentioned the whole thing pretty casually. Later my sil sent me a long text calling me a bitch for snitching to him, and wanting to flaunt my looks. So was I the asshole because I told him the reason? I know she's insecure about her looks, so maybe I should have come up with another excuse. Not the asshole. You should go on vacation with your hubby while the wedding is happening and blow up social media with bikini pics. Then again, I'm petty. Not the asshole, and your husband's reaction was the correct one. He took your side as he should. Be glad you won't be stared at by her creepy fiancé lol. What the fuck did Sil think was going to happen? Husband would go to the wedding alone and not think that it was odd his wife was at home? Not the asshole. Calling me a bitch for snitching to him. Nope. If people knowing about what she did embarrasses her, that's on her, not you. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You didn't steer trouble but just stated the facts to Hubs, who did the right thing of supporting you. Sil clearly has self-esteem issues, but she's the asshole for taking them out on you. Not the asshole. She can uninvite you from her wedding, but she cannot demand that you lie to your husband about it.